Hey YouTube, I thought I would do a quick video on basic weathering techniques. So this is really just for the beginner who wants to do some weathering on a model kit. I'll go through what I've done on this, and then I'll show you a couple of ways that I do it. So you can see that I've got the engine weathered. I just used a dusting powder to weather the engine and some flat paints. The bumpers bent just to simulate where somebody backed into it and had to replace this fender. Headlights missing, and there's a black and red wire hanging out of there for where the headlight would have been plugged in. The weathering on the front is literally just a wash of it's rust brown, flat rust brown testers and flat black testers, and that's the brown that I use quite a bit of for my rusting. It simulates it quite well. So if you look here, you can see where I put holes where the trim would have been held on. For that, I just used a simple pin drill. So that's a great little tool to have for doing scale models. You can pick them up cheap at Amazon. You can see where I put some rust holes through the bottoms of the doors where cars rust out, and along the bottom of the rocker panels, around the back wheel wells, they rust out quite bad. I've got some dents in it as well. Piece of wood for the window where the window's been smashed out, and that's just balsa wood. You can pick it up at Michael's or most craft stores. An old bent piece of wire for an antenna. The bumpers, the metal's all weathered. Quarter panels rusted out, got some holes in it. Drilled out where the lock would be for the door, and I made little rust simulations running down the door. Again, the rocker panels rusted out and it's dented and dinged up. The interior, I actually put actual cloth, so all that is a bed sheet that I found dirt cheap. And the nice thing about a cheap bed sheet is that they're extremely thin, so the striping that was on this really matched the 1/24 scale and gave it a good look. Again, around the fender's been rusted out and weathered. Dent in the front with some primer where the owner of this vehicle would have primered the front bumper to try to help it from rusting out. And the hood's the same way. The hood's weathered, so you can see the edge of the hood, the front leading edge of the hood where they rust out a lot. If you're going to weather your car on the tops and whatnot, usually around the edges, the outside edges, and the front leading edge is worse than the actual center of it, and it's the same as with the back of the trunk lid. Anywhere you have corners is where you're going to find most of the rust on a vehicle, and the tops of any surface, because obviously that takes most of the abuse with the sun rays and all of that good stuff. So I'll go through right quick as to how I did some of this this weathering. In order to create rust, so if I use this panel here and say I want to put rust around the outside edge, what I'll use is a Dremel tool, so a tool that looks like this, and just a sanding disc on the end of it, and I'll actually sand or grind away at the inside. And as I'm grinding away at the inside, I'll be very careful to see when I'm getting close to the outside edge, and when I'm getting close to the outside edge, that's when I'm going to start lightly touching it until I start coming through the actual plastic. And I can eat away the outside, like I can actually eat away portions of the fender if I want to take away portions of the fender, or I can just make holes. So here you can see where I've done it on this side, and here's the effect that you get. So once you've done this, you just simply take it and do your weathering, so you can put your flat brown rust, the darkest, right in there, and then you can do some weathering effects. I will use products like the Tamiya Weathering Master C pack, which comes with a rust brown, a flat black, and a grayish color. But I also create my own rust. So for my own rust, I use actual rust, rusted metal. So I'll use steel wool, just put it in water, cover it in water, let it rust, leave it there for a month or however long it takes. And when it's done, you can actually just crush this all up. So I'll crush up one portion and make rough coursed grade, which looks like that. And then I will do a fine grade, and the fine grade's just like a powder, and I'll use flat. So if I use acrylic flat clear like this, and I'll brush it on, and then I'll just simply powder. So if you look at my bumpers for Project Sleeper that I'm doing right now, you can see where I've done it with the bumpers, and I just paint it with the flat and then brush or I guess sprinkle the rust powder on it, and it gives you that simulation of rust on chrome really well. A couple other things that I might do is when I get to the undercarriage, I may take it and do things like this. So I don't know how well you can see this here, but so I just broke the exhaust system, and I used 28 gauge wire to simulate a coat hanger, and it's holding up the exhaust system. The muffler has a hole in it, it's missing its tailpipe. You can see here where I simulated an oil leak from the drain plug, and it's coming back along the transmission, and the exhaust has dents and whatnot on it. This muffler here has got a great big dent in it, and you know, all back here is starting to corrode and get pretty nasty looking. So if you want to make a dent, like you can see here on this hood, I made a dent. If you want to make a dent, I just use a lighter. Now I'm going to tell you to be very careful when you're doing this. You don't want to hold it close enough to the plastic to catch the plastic on fire. So all you want to do is make the piece of plastic warm. So you're just going to heat it up, and then take the back of the lighter or the back of your knife or whatever you have, and you just push in on it and hold it until it cools down a bit, and you'll end up with a dent in the body. So you can do this however big, however small. You don't want to make the inside of this black. If you're making it black, you're holding this too close, and all you want to do is really just heat this up until it will allow you to bend it and put a little dent in it. If you do it too much, you're going to burn right through the plastic and ruin it, or you're going to warp the actual panel that you're trying to do it to, and it may not fit on your body anymore. So you don't want to do that either. Usually if I do a dent, I'll leave the inside of the dent pretty good paint. So like if you see here, and that's pretty typical on a real car, because this doesn't get scratched off. The exterior will get scratched off more than the inside of a dent. So that's just what I do, and it looks pretty real. But again, I just say have fun, use what you have, make it look however you want to make it look, and if you're happy with it, then you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. So if you have any questions, you can ask below, and I'll try to answer them. And if not, have fun modeling, and I'll see you next time.